Hello, everyone. You're welcome again to another episode of Reading with Elsie. Today, I have for you both good news and bad news. The bad news first. What if I told you that your little girl, your little boy, that little girl you like so much, your cousin, could be dying and you didn't know? Later on in the reading, I'll be sharing with you what the good news is. But listen to this. According to the WHO, approximately 300,000 children of ages 0 to 19 are diagnosed with cancers each year. The most common categories include leukemia, brain cancers, lymphoma, and solid tumors. The better news is that there's a way out of all of this if help comes in early. Today, I'll be sharing with you stories from Dr. Okyere Mensah, who runs a page on Instagram with the handle I am Dr. Z, a page on child healthcare where she shares so much about how to take care of your child and give your child the best healthcare. Today, we're sharing stories on child cancers because September happens to be the Child Cancer Awareness Month. And so stay with me and let's listen to some stories and learn how to take better care of our children to avoid losing them through child cancers. All right. Starting off with the stories on child cancers, and the first story I have with me or we're reading today is Okyere's story. Okyere was only 8 years old when I met her. Her mom told me she was a loving, kind-spirited, mischievous child. She had been generally happy and healthy since she was born. She was quick to add that Okyere had never been sick till about 2 months before we spoke, when Okyere started to persistently complain of headaches and tiredness. As any loving mother would do, she stopped her from doing any house chores or running errands. She would give her some paracetamol so she could get rid of the headaches she was experiencing. The story of Okyere. Only 8 years, 4 months into her life, everything changed. We couldn't believe it, her mother said. Okyere became weak. She grew very lean and was unable to eat. One of our own said she might have been cursed, so we decided to visit some traditional healers for spiritual aid. This yielded nothing positive, I must say, she retorted. So we went to the nearest clinic from where we were referred to this hospital. Meanwhile, her symptoms kept deteriorating. Her abdomen had become bigger. She had developed swelling over her body and her breathing was much faster. All we could do was keep our hopes alive while we wait to be told what exactly was wrong with our little girl. After running a series of tests, we were informed that she had acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Some treatment was started, but the disease was progressing quickly and aggressively. We were instantaneously catapulted into a world we had very little knowledge of. We were in fear, but she was a fighter. This made us more hopeful. After the initial treatment, she seemed to be doing much better. She could eat and we could engage in conversations. Then one fateful day, her condition took a turn for the worse. She began to get progressively weaker. She slept all day till the doctors came. They wondered what had gone wrong. Her blood glucose was checked and observed to be very low, 1.5. She was quickly given some glucose and she awoke from the long sleep. A tube was passed through her nose and monitors were connected to her body. At that point, my hopes began to dwindle. I felt this was it. Her sugars kept going low in spite of all the interventions put in place, and her temperatures were rising. That night, while staring into my daughter's eyes and praying to Allah, I observed she wasn't breathing. I quickly called the nurses. They in turn called the doctor on duty, who attempted resuscitating her. Okyere lost the battle. And so did we. We needed answers. Did we as her parents invoke this curse on our little girl? Was it due to anything wrong we did? Could Okyere have been saved if we had come in much earlier? These thoughts have never left us, and the grief this loss brought to us is unimaginably unbearable. Only if we knew. Now here's another story. A story from Alex. Alex is my firstborn. We lived in the outskirts of the Brongahafo region. He was an energetic JHS2 pupil who had hopes of becoming a teacher in the future. He would be seen after school playing football with his colleagues. One day, I noticed he no longer participated in the games. He looked lethargic and breathless. I sent him to the polyclinic where I was informed that he didn't have enough blood. They gave us a prescription for medication and sent us home. Not long after, his stomach started increasing in size and he had some swellings all around his neck. As worried as we were, we took him back to the polyclinic and insisted they referred him to a higher facility. We were referred to a tertiary facility where he was admitted through the emergency, finally ending up on the oncology ward because of a higher suspicion for cancer. All through his first week on admission, his breathlessness continued to worsen. We were informed that he had some fluid in his lungs. He was put on oxygen, and a tube was passed into his chest to drain the fluid after a chest x-ray was done. He felt much better after a few days. Meanwhile, lab investigations were ongoing for the definitive diagnosis. I remember we were asked to do a biopsy of the swelling in his abdomen. A few weeks after, the doctors informed us on the type of cancer the results had shown, cancelled us on the treatment modalities, the labs that would have to be done concurrently while treatment is ongoing, and we consented to starting treatment. Treatment was initiated, and after a few days, I observed a drastic improvement in the health of Alex. He looked much better and was gaining weight appreciably. He could eat well, even though he had some episodes of vomiting which ceased after medication was administered. We managed to raise some funds for his treatment, but I must say, it was tough. We had to stop working to take care of our son while depending on loans. We were in the hospital for a few more weeks, then discharged for chemotherapy sessions and lab investigations on outpatient basis. Our lives were turned upside down. Our usual family routines and work plans could not hold as Alex could spontaneously develop some bad temperatures. we had to send the other children to their uncle's end because Alex's state could change at any moment, warranting a hospital admission. However, our son continued to fight till we completed the treatment in a few years. Today, Alex is quite a healthy and fit child. He has returned to school. He does not engage in the games as actively as he used to, but he's able to play with his friends when he wants to. He still goes for periodic hospital checks and he still keeps smiling in spite of all that he has been through. This is the different stories we have for you, showing when early treatment is administered for child cancers and when treatment comes in just too late. Monitor your children, watch the changes that happen in them, and don't forget to take them to the hospital right in time in order to get the right diagnosis for what is happening to them. You don't lose anything by taking them to the hospital for checks. Don't forget to read with me once again on another episode of Reading with Elsie. Like this, share it, follow our page, and for our YouTube viewers, don't forget to subscribe. This is a very important message, and as far as it can go, please share it. I'll share with you Dr. Okyere Mensah's social media handles so you follow her for more healthcare tips for your child and so you seek help whenever the need be. Thank you very much for reading with me. It's been another enjoyable episode where we've learned so much. Catch you again on another episode of Reading with Elsie, and my name is Elsie.